The following is a podcast interview I recently had where I was the guest of Dina Bahour from CSUSB's Coyote Radio. In our conversation, we discussed my background, professional experience, and the thrilling journey of moving to the US to pursue my passions for technology and artificial intelligence. I want to thank Dina for her friendship and Coyote Radio for allowing me to publish this interview. And to you, the listener, I hope you found this conversation engaging and valuable.
Hello, Yodis. This is Dina Bahour, your social media coordinator for Coyote Radio. We're going to start an interview with Naja Faysal. Welcome, Naja. How are you?
Thank you, Dina. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, Naja, tell us a little bit about where did you grow up?
So I come from a beautiful country of Lebanon. It's a
Nice.
faraway country, 20 hours flight.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I grew up there. It's a beautiful little country with a population of 4 million people. So LA is pretty much bigger than Lebanon, basically.
That's cool.
It's the only democracy in the Middle East. It has a variety of different faiths and religions, and it's a beautiful country with mountains and skiing and great beaches as well. So I grew up there, and I studied in an American school in Lebanon.
Okay.
I did my bachelor's there, and then soon after graduating, I left Lebanon and start working in Dubai, and that's how I built my career.
Oh, nice, nice. So, how was it growing up there? Like your childhood and how was it? What's
Yeah,
any
I
memories?
was very much into sports.
Okay.
My parents, they own a private school. So
Mm.
growing up, I had a school pretty much in our house. So
Oh,
we
wow.
were like, I was big on playing soccer, and then I start growing taller, and then I become 6'3" all of a sudden, and then I started like, oh, let's play basketball now and capitalize on that height,
Uh-huh.
and therefore I start becoming a very good basketball player, and then I became like part of the Lebanese national team, and I played
Oh, wow,
first league.
nice.
Yes, I was really good in basketball. Um, so I was more or less focused on basketball and less on education, although I managed to finish my bachelor's degree in an American school with advertising and marketing degree.
Mm.
And that would led me to find a job in Dubai and left Lebanon to work in Dubai.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So you said that you mentioned that your parents had a private school. So
Mhm.
was your dad the principal?
Yes.
How was that? How
Yeah, it was
that?
all good. So I learned all my primary education
Uh-huh.
at my school until I start becoming like a teenager.
Mm.
And then I start taking advantage of that. So so
Ah,
my
take it easy.
parents ended up kicking me out of the school.
Oh my God.
Because I remember like once I told the teacher that, oh, I'm gonna tell my parents to fire you or something like
Oh, there we go.
so that
Of
that
course,
led to my parents firing me from that
from
school. Yeah, but that was like a really funny story. But yeah, after
Oh,
that
that's
I went
cool.
to college and
So yeah, so talking about college, so your tell us about your education path. So you mentioned you had marketing.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that I'm right now very passionate about is the fact that it's really hard for high schoolers
Mm-hmm.
to find a good major to study. I remember when I graduated high school, I really struggled to find a major that fits me.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up changing my major like 3 times. I
Oh.
started with like graphic design, then I went to radio TV, then I landed in advertising and marketing. I know that they're kind of related, but as I feel that high school students, they don't know what they want, and I
Mm.
was one of them. And I think for me now, I incorporated a company, and I'm working on a project where I want to make sure that high school students, when they graduate high school, they would work on a path that fits their personality. And I think one of the biggest problems we have is this question: what do you want to do when you grow up? This
Yes,
is a
always ask
very
that
dangerous
questions.
question,
Hmm.
because as a kid, you don't know what
That's
you want to
true.
do
That's
because you
true.
haven't researched, you don't have any life experience. So this
And that may
question,
limit them in
exactly,
one
because it's
direction.
part of your identity. So you will learn to answer that question.
Mm.
And once you answer it, it start to internalize it. So I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. And then you ended up, discovering that I don't want to be a pilot. So instead of wasting all of this time, I want to have a program whereby you can go to a 1 year apprenticeship where you try
Oh,
different,
that's really cool.
you try like different professions every month or two. Like you try, flip burgers for a month, and then be a carpenter for a month, and then, work in a tech company for a month. So as you do that, you start learning more about what you like and what you don't like. And I feel that this is the best approach than really tossing a coin and find a major and just go to
Just
college.
goes to college. That's
Yeah.
completely different
For
aspect.
sure.
So you tell them to have some kind of experience, and then whatever they find out they like, then they go to more focused, educated kind of perspective of it.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Exactly. For example, if I go back now, I wouldn't studied business or marketing. I would study more into the scientific domain. I would go into more computer science, because recently I discovered that that's really my passion. And now I'm really working on my
Looking-
master's in information systems, and I'm very much into AI and artificial intelligence. So you see,
Yeah, we're gonna get on all
For sure.
the details. Okay, so you're saying what you studied in the beginning, is that what leads to your career?
yeah. So I studied advertising and marketing, and quickly after graduation, I was lucky, I guess, to be hired by an international advertising agency. It's a Chicago-based, big, giant agency, one of the most awarded agency in the world. It's called Leo Burnett, part of the Publicis Group. It's the agency of choice for big brands like McDonald's and Unilever and
Oh,
General Motors and all of these big companies. So I was lucky that was the beginning of my career. So I learned from the very best.
how long
in-
you worked there? For
So
how
I
long?
worked there for around 3-4 years.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
after that, I started moving from one agency to another and climbing the ladder in Dubai and Saudi Arabia. And I managed to become the general manager of an advertising agency early on when I was 30 years old.
Oh wow, that's
So
impressive.
yeah, I took big responsibilities early on in my career. So yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So what are you doing right now? What's your major in CSUSB?
Right. So my major is Masters of Science in Information Systems and Technology with concentration on business intelligence and analytics. So
Nice.
this is the closest I could get to artificial intelligence, knowing that my background is not computer science. So if my background was computer science, I would be more on the hardcore computer science, artificial intelligence major. But because I have a business degree, being accepted in a computer science is going to be much harder. But this is kind of a middle point between my
middle.
business degree and the technology that I want to pursue. But yeah, I'm planning also to continue with PhD, and hopefully I'll be an AI researcher.
So the last we talk about is what led you to CSUSB and what was your major. So how long you've been here now?
So yeah, I arrived in the U.S. in May of 2021, I guess, right when just the airports start to open up after COVID.
After COVID, right?
Right after COVID, I came here. Was everything still in lockdown kind of situation.
Awesome.
Yeah, quickly got accustomed to the country, and I think at beginning I was I didn't know anybody, especially here in San Bernardino, but I will talk to you about how I started forming clubs and stuff.
So that was my next question. So since you've been here, what accomplishments you had and what you did so far in campus?
Yeah.
And-
So the way everything is kind of connected, but the way I try to approach, I'm a big believer of life design. I believe people should be intentional and strategic about how they design their lives. For me, I like to I formed some healthy habits in my life, and I start building my community around those healthy habits. So I knew, for example, that I like sports. So I like hiking for cardio. I used to run, but then I have bad calves, so I kind of don't like running anymore. but I know that I like hiking for cardio and I like weightlifting. So I started weightlifting and so that's how I started having friends. Now, when it comes to hiking, I went to Coyote Connections and I was like, okay, let me find a hiking club. There was none. So I was like, okay, there's no hiking club. May as well create one.
Create one.
So, that's how my first hiking club started. So now, Coyote Hikers, which is a club that you can find on the Meetup app, has 620 members.
Oh, wow.
And we do hiking almost every week, all around the Inland Empire. So if you're listening and you like hiking and you like nature, we have all fitness levels. It's very social and recreational event that we do almost every week. This Saturday we're going to Claremont Hills. It's a very nice, beautiful hike. So we just do it, and then after that we have lunch all together. Each hiking event we have around 30 to 40 or sometimes 50 people joining us. So it's like a big
that's
group.
a big group.
So you get to interact with different people, and it's like more of a social event that we enjoy really all as a group.
Nice.
So that was the beginning of the hiking club that I started.
That's how you started. And what else? Any other? I heard like you had other clubs too in
Sure.
CSUSB.
Yeah. So the
students.
second was like, okay, Queen's Gambit, the show.
Yeah, I love that show.
So I learned chess when I was a little kid, but then I really stopped playing chess for a long time. And then Queen's Gambit came along, and I was like watching it, and it's like brought back the chess memories. So I was like, again, I went to Coyote Connections. I was like, chess club.
And
There was none.
chess club.
So as you're seeing, there's a pattern here. Like every time I try to join a community in my interest. When I don't find it, I create
You
it.
created it.
And I think that's kind of my leadership style, is like out of need. And I think these are the best way to create leaders, whether on student communities here on campus or in general. I think leaders should be created out of need and not just for the sake of position or for the sake of power. I'm a believer that a leader is needed and not someone who imposes himself on others. So that's how it all happened. So I created the chess club. And now we're meeting every Tuesday. Actually, in 20 minutes,
20 minutes.
we have another.
we
have a chess club meetup at the Coyote Commons, so the chess club was a second adventure, and now recently after ChatGPT came along in November last year, I was like, of course, as someone who's passionate about artificial intelligence, I have been reading and dreaming about it, and I was hoping that it will come in my lifetime. And now ChatGPT is here, and I'm so excited about ChatGPT. So I was, okay, is there any club or a group that has AI in it? There was none. So I ended up creating what I called Singularity Syndicate, which is basically a group on Meetup app. So I use Meetup. I love Meetup because Meetup app is a beautiful platform for groups and events. So you could organize all sorts of events. So with Singularity Syndicate, we have also a bi-weekly free webinars where we meet on Zoom. Usually the meeting, like sometimes we have 60, 70 people on Zoom, right? And then we record this session and we put it on YouTube.
Okay. Nice.
And during these sessions, we discuss different aspects of technologies that are transforming society. So we've got, like, for example, the first event was, what the heck is ChatGPT? So I want to make sure that the society and the regular everyday people know what ChatGPT is, because these technologies are so powerful that if you don't know about them, you're going to be left behind. So there are people who's going to know about AI and use it to their advantage, and there's people who don't know anything about it and they're going to be left behind. So this was the first event. The second event, I was like, building on the first event, is called prompt engineering. So if you don't know what prompt is what you how to interact with AI platforms. You know, how to prompt it, how to ask ChatGPT what the best way to ask it, or the best way to
to get the
type
most out of it.
to get the most out of it. And this second webinar was a beautiful success. The video on YouTube is more than 11,000 views
Oh my
already.
God,
Yeah,
that's
it was.
awesome.
Yeah, it was. I received so many good stuff because I really introduced some good content there.
Mm.
And then the third event last week, we did a webinar called Jobs in the Age of AI. So if you're listening to this and you haven't been thinking about AI and the future of AI and how AI is going to affect your future, you're going to be left behind. So my goal and I want everyone who's listening to this to really be thinking about AI and how it's going to transform our lives. And if you're like doing a major, regardless what it is, just go and research how AI is going to impact your domain, because believe me, the world after AI is going to be very different than the world before AI.
We should
So-
have an episode only about this. It sounds really interesting, and make you think in a different way too, because there is some resistance too about AI. Some people resist that thoughts and say no, it has to be like more human kind of thing. But
yeah.
it seems like something, if people been open mind to it, they
For sure.
actually can get
I mean,
more benefit.
people
about it.
could resist it,
Yeah.
but technology doesn't care
Yeah,
whether you
it's
resist
just gonna
it or
keep
not.
going.
It's gonna keep going. So
So that's true.
technology is like a train. It's heading no matter what. You cannot stop it.
Mm-hmm.
You can either jump on it or be left behind.
Be left behind.
And-
That's why it's just supposed to be like a whole episode.
For sure.
For
I'm
sure,
very
we'll talk
happy
about
to
that.
have it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I see like a pattern here. It's all like you said. You have a need to something. You look and you start a club, being a leader. So it's from your experience, your career path, and all that clubs, you are a leadership. You have that leadership role, and you're into it and you love it. So how did you find out that you like that, being in a leader position? Is there a certain time where you like this from you're young, that you like to be in a leadership position?
That's an interesting question. Like I don't know if I it's nature or nurture, right? Like I don't know if I have something in me when I was young to be a leader or not. All I know is that during my career I naturally went from one position to another. Maybe I have some sort of good amount of self-confidence. Like if you offer me, for example, my companies, when I get to a GM position, I was already an account director, which is really a good position too. But then I had a conversation with some company owners, and they said like they're looking for a general manager for their 80 employee company. So if maybe someone else would be afraid of that position, I was like, I can do it. I believe I can do it. And I start talking to them about my plans, and then they hired me. So that's my first kind of leadership, like high leadership position. And then from there, the natural progression is to become chief marketing officer, because like this is like the natural, it's all leadership in the end.
That makes sense.
So when I come here to the US, again, it's all started with need. Like for example, the clubs that I started are all need based. And now I'm on a crossroads. So I'm gonna be graduating. Part of me wants to be hired in a company. Now, to be hired as what is another question. I'm, if I wasn't hired, I'm gonna probably build my own path and start. And I already incorporated a company and work on some projects. Whether they become successful or not is a different story. But so if I found a job that fits me, if some company owners, they want me to help build and grow their company, I'm very much capable of doing that. And if I didn't find a company who wants to give me the trust needed to help them in their business, I'll probably start something on my own and go from there.
That's like really impressive experience and past you have, and what you're doing and what you did already, what advice you would give for our students? Like, if you want to, if I ask you, like, give me one advice for the students, what would you choose?
So first of all, like most of the students are here to get a degree and hopefully get a job. The first advice would be, your degree is probably not important anymore. So your grades are probably not important anymore. So all what I could tell you is that the most important is what you build during those years, the experience you get, the projects that you're involved in, because employers, that's what they'll be looking for. They'll be looking for to see, they will ask you in the interview, what did you do during these 4 years that you spent on campus? So the first advice, academically wise, I'm not saying to ignore the grades or I'm saying that focus on building something early on, and make these courses work for you and build the skills needed for you to build and better projects. This is academically. Campus life, it only happens 4 years of your life. It's not gonna come back. I mean, maybe you will come back for grad school like I did, but most of the students, they're here for only 4 years of their life. Make the best out of it. So be adventurous. Don't let you don't need to think too much about things. Just be, do what you feel like doing. Have fun. Life is good. Yeah, for sure. Be involved in communities and clubs and go places and experience different things. I think that's pretty much what I would say. So yeah, academically, personal life, and most importantly, I think in the age of AI, there's gonna be tremendous amount of problems we can solve. Entrepreneurship is gonna be huge in the coming years. I think it's gonna be less about employment and more about entrepreneurs. So if you're listening to this, think about starting a business. It's the best time ever to start businesses.
Cool.
Because all the tools you have are available, and it's so cheap. You don't need capital. You don't need everything you need is available. Even if you don't know how to code, ask ChatGPT and it will give you the code.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
it's the best time to start businesses.
Yeah, I've been getting into more the ChatGPT, and I think I'm becoming really close. I can say it's my best friend right now.
Yeah.
Can have a conversation with it.
For sure.
It was awesome.
I'm we gotta treat it nicely as well. So I'm always telling it, please and thank you, because eventually ChatGPT maybe become AGI, artificial general intelligence, was gonna be very powerful. So we're gonna make sure it's on our side.
On our good side. Okay, so that was like mostly our interview. I'm just gonna end with like light-hearted some questions. So if we tell you like you can't have any superpower right now, what Naja would like to have?
I want to have access to AGI before everyone else.
That's the superpower you want? Okay.
Because I'm not gonna have that opportunity. But if you ask me, I would love to be working in a company like OpenAI right now, which is the company that designed ChatGPT, and I would love to interact with their latest versions that are without the guards, because the ChatGPT has a lot of guards.
Okay.
There's a lot of restrictions. They put a lot of restrictions on people. I would love to access that without the guards.
So
that would
anything
be cool.
you can have answer for. So what kind of music you like to listen to?
So mostly I listen to podcasts. I'm kind of a nerd. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks on my way to university and whenever I'm driving. I kind of feel that I don't like to listen to music. I feel like I prefer to use my time in a more beneficial way. But when I'm working, I like to listen to kind of electronic music without lyrics, without vocals, and this will help me like focus on my work and what I'm doing.